Hey everybody, Doug Walsh here with Dark Horse Stables. So now in this session, what I'm going to talk to you about is, we just talked in our last session about rider position and how our seat should be. So the reason why that's so important is we start to teach our horse to ride through their seat and become less dependent on the reins and things like spurs and whips, which are all, if used properly, those are training tools to hopefully get to the point where you don't have to use them. We want to use our seat and be as light as possible. So as I work with her, I look at my rider position being, remember we talked about this, our heels to our hips to our shoulders, nice and straight with our hind tucked under, and our pelvis kind of moving up and forward as we sit there so we can feel our cheekbones on our horse. This is Sierra. She's been a great student throughout this process, and so what I want to kind of teach as I walk her forward is that I want her to really understand to yield when I turn my body and my pelvis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to where I want to go, and when I look, I'm going to make sure I really rotate my pelvis, not just my head. When I do that, you're going to see that she's going to follow where my legs are, and this is how I teach a lot of horses to ride bridleless, is that I want to be able to have them move off of my feet, and hardly have to use the reins at all. So if I look this way, I want to be able to just guide her a little bit, and then as I do that, it's going to put my legs in a position where I can catch her on the outside, and then I'll walk off this way, and then I want to come back to the right. So you see I'm not using any rein at all. She'll turn around and come back. I'm going to ask her to stop through with my feet. I want to use as little rein as possible, and then if I ask for the rein back, I just want to slide my legs back and have her want to back up. And this is something that she's working on, but I would rather work on with her the movement of just getting that movement first as light as possible, and then we fine tune it with asking her to drop her head down so I can stay right here. She used to be really, really fussy in her head. Every time she learns something new, she has a lot of energy that comes out through her head. So good, she drops that nose down. Drops that nose down, I release. Just want her to feel comfortable with that nose being just coming down, and know it's not a backup cue because I'm not moving my legs at all. So when we ask for the backup cue, we're going to slide our legs back. We're going to open up our thighs and ask her to really give her a place to go. So sliding those legs back a few inches to start. So I'm going to slide my legs back. I'm going to give her a cue to back up. So I want that cue to be through my seat, not through the reins. So I can have connection with her and not have her be worried about that connection. So as we work on that backup, remember our seat has to be good and solid. I want to open up my thigh. I want to slide my legs back and have her just want to back up. So when she has connection in the contact, and then I'll ask her to go forward again, ask her just to drop her head now. So when we have connection with our horses, especially in that backup, is that the goal is to have them want to lift their back up and use their hind end to push backwards. The backup move is really I like to say it's a movement that you're going, it's pushing off with the hind, it's not dragging the front feet back. And so we look at that backup as a tool to help strengthen the hind end. No different than if I ask her to turn in a smaller circle like this, and I want her to yield that inside hip under. And we've talked about this in previous sessions. Yielding that inside hip under, is that's a move that's going to help for her to get a stronger hind end. So these are a couple little things you can practice on your horse, and these are the little things that really take time, but when you get them, you make your horse light as possible. Like I said, she's only been on the saddle for a few months, and she's getting pretty much to the point where if I ask her to back up, back, she's starting to back without any rein at all. So, and she's getting better at that. So it takes time to create a really nice partnership with your horse, just like it does with anybody else, but the biggest thing is you have to be in tune with their energy and how they're feeling, and the more you can get in tune with that, especially like she's a really alpha mare, so she'll occasionally want to pin her ears and give you a dirty face, and it's just figuring out the combination of the lock on her to say, hey, I'm not here to, I want to be your leader and I want to be positive with you. You don't have to worry when you're around me, but as long as we respect each other in the way that we have our partnership, and that's mutual respect both ways, then she's going to be, an amazing horse, right? So whenever she gets confused with things, or she gets frustrated from just standing here, which is why I'm standing right now, is that you'll see her start to play with the bit a little bit, and she'll stick her head up. Well, the first time I ever sat on her, even though we did lots of groundwork with her, and we put the bit in her mouth, the first time we put that bit in the mouth and even did groundwork with her, she was wanting to throw her head up because she would lock her neck and want to take off and run off with you. So as we transfer through these things, just remember to take each step slowly, but don't overwork on these steps. If you get a few things, no difference if I ask her to back up and she gives me a nice backup. Good. So I'll do that a few times. If she does it really nice, then we're done for the day with that exercise, or I'll go do something else and I'll come back to that one. So I don't mind doing it a couple times here. We work on other things and then we come back to that just to make sure that she still is understanding of what we're doing. So remember, in this session we talked about, once again, our rider position. If we want to start to turn our horse, we want to use our pelvis, really rotate our midsection. That's what it's going to do. It's going to put our legs and our seat in the right position to have our horse turn around our inside leg and feel like a channel through there. And as we do that, if they at first are not going to understand that, so you're going to have to guide them. You're going to have to use your reins to start to teach them, but the goal is then to eliminate the rein. So if I go forward with her and I want to walk forward, and I'm going to turn towards you as I want to look where I'm going and see how she turns without me doing anything with the reins. Good girl. So that to me is one of the coolest feelings in the world, is when you have a horse that really starts to understand your seat. So in today's session, remember, practice patience through riding with your seat. You're going to be using your reins to help guide her, but we want to start to eliminate those reins. Back up, we want to do the same thing. We want to use the reins to help with the backup in conjunction. So if I ask the backup and she starts that backup, I want to be able to lose the reins and she still backs up through my seat. Ooh. And so this is a learning process that we go through, and so we don't ever want to get upset with our horses if they're giving us that try, if they're really trying to focus on it. That's super important that they're doing that. And I hope you've enjoyed this session, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.